Hey guys, this is Aristeo and I'm back to cast Game 2 of the semifinals of the 2-on-2 Tuesdays ESL European Tournament. This is like tournament number 22 and this was from like last week. And as you can see, Cubert has his super awesome black colored Terran team, and I still have no clue how they did that. Maybe if any of you know how they're doing this, please tell me, because this is crazy. And I think actually the last time they did this, it was on the same map, Tempest. So Cubert will be the black Terran player, and his teammate Aristeo will be the gray Zerg player, even though up here it's like lavender, but it looks gray. And so their opponents will be Nuku, the teal Terran, and his partner SaNY, the orange Protoss, looking for redemption after the last game. They got out macroed, they got out microed, and just outplayed by the dominant Team Empire, Aristeo and Cubert. Nobody has honestly come close to this team so far in these in this particular tournament that I've been casting, which reminds me, I'm totally going to get to your guys' games very soon. I actually can't wait to get to some of your guys' games because they may be more competitive than some of these, because Aristeo and Cubert have just been killing people. And it's almost, I just feel sorry for these other teams. It makes those games that that Protec played against them that much more impressive to me, that he was able to beat this team a few times. So yeah, I really like watching them play though. Aristeo especially, this guy takes Zerg to a whole new level, man. He is awesome, and I know, I'm sure he probably plays 1v1s. So I know I said something like this last game where it's like, Aristeo is a pro Zerg player, and then, oh well, he plays 2v2, so he can't be a pro because 2v2 players aren't pro. I'm just saying pro as like, that means he's really good, okay? So stop nitpicking. Not that anyone's nitpicking. I'm doing preventative nitpicking at this point. Anyway, something else I guess that's random that I could mention is Aristeo actually with a quicker spawning pool this time. So maybe he will be trying to pressure with some Zerglings and see what happens up here. It doesn't look like much will come of that. Yeah, look at the shoot and scoot from Cubert to clean up that scouting probe from SaNY. The same thing as last time. He actually killed it with his SUV. So here goes his bunker, and he's got his 2 Marines. This guy is like clockwork, man. Same thing every time, and hey, if it works, it works. I mean, this is like the end-all, be-all Terran opening for Cubert, and meanwhile, Aristeo like changes his strategy every single game, so that is very exciting. It looks like what he does, what he likes to do, Aristeo, he sends 3 Zerglings over to the opponent's general vicinity, and then he throws 1 or however many over to the watchtowers. And I noticed when I was rewatching the replay of last time how SaNY's Phoenix, he kept lifting off Zerglings from the watchtowers, and like Aristeo would actually like prevent or preemptively send new Zerglings to the watchtowers. And what ended up happening was almost that Aristeo was just toying with SaNY, because Aristeo would just send single Zerglings back to the watchtowers every time one got lifted off, and SaNY just ended up wasting all of his Phoenix energy on these on the solo Zerglings at the watchtowers, and had nothing left to try and help with the tanks and stuff in that final engagement. So yeah. Anyway, something else I guess I wanted to get at is, okay, look, I've some of the criticism was that I was taking on the Reddit website, which it's all valid criticism, and that I can't keep up with everything. Well, you know, I'm trying my best here. I'm not going to be able to keep up with everything. That's part of the reason why I really like to leave this production tab up all the time for you guys, so you can, because some people were saying, well, like, I wanted to move the camera but I couldn't because he was busy off on some tangent. Well, I'm sorry. So look at the production tab and you'll know what's coming, and then you'll know what's coming before I notice it. Like, here's the spire for Aristeo, and then so when I see it and go, oh my god, there's all these mutas on the field, you'll be like, yeah, Irie, you retard, I already knew that. So then you can feel smart, and then I will feel dumb. So anyway, I'm not going to be able to catch everything. I'm going to do my best. These team games get pretty hectic. Although with Aristeo and Cubert, it's easier for me to catch some of the production stuff, because they're not as absurdly aggressive as some of these other players, especially Protec always comes to mind. that he is always attacking instantaneously, and so I'm just spending the whole time trying to catch my breath and going, oh my god, oh my god. But it looks like SaNY and Nuku are going to try and make something happen this time. They're not going to sit around and wait for Aristeo and cubert to out-macro them, because I've yet to see anybody come close to them in a 2v2 macro style game. So here we go, proxy pylon for SaNY. He has his 4 warp gates finished, and he is warping in more and more zealots. There are a ton of marines for Nuku, but Aristeo and cubert, they know this is happening. Look at cubert, he's preemptive. He's like, okay, here they come. I'm going to get a second bunker down. I'm going to bring up a bunch of SCVs and just leave them here. Well worth doing, by the way. Just leave the SCVs up here on auto repair. It makes a huge difference. And then he's got a nice spread on these marauders, and he's got some more extra marines in the back. Probably going to load up some in this bunker. He actually has 5 SCVs out here on auto repair. What is Aristeo going to have to try and he actually even has a Hellion out now for cubert. So actually I think he does normally like to get that 1 Hellion out. But here anyway, it looks like the zealots and marines are going to try and press this front. What is going to happen? The zealots getting a nice coverage here. They're doing a lot of damage. Look at all the marines in the back. They actually might be able to break this defense. Cubert is loading up the second bunker in the back. All the repairing SCVs have gone down. There are mutas on the field though now for Aristeo, but there are so many marines down here. They finally get picked off. As you see the timing, Aristeo waiting to use his mutalisks until the zerglings are engaged, and then bringing the mutalisks in to compound the damage so that they don't take fire, as the marines will be automatically attacking the zerglings instead of the mutalisks. So nicely defended right there by Aristeo and cubert. These guys, they know what they're doing. They know how to defend these early pushes, and now the mutalisks, which I should be using this to follow, are going to come in here and really wreak havoc on SaNY's base. What happened to all these probes? There's only like 5 probes here. Did he send... Okay, Aristeo must have already been harassing this with mutalisks like before that, and that's why there are no probes here. So SaNY is in a lot of trouble. And Nuku is even trying to throw a missile turret down here. Instead, Nuku has to leave a bunch of marines over here, so that means that maybe his base is open. Aristeo really just being annoying with these mutalisks, which is something you really need to do with your mutalisks, is just be annoying. Cubert now deciding to rally his troops up to this front. Is he going to throw down? Yes, a bunker. He's actually going to put a bunker down. Interesting. On the outside of this grass here next to the watchtower. So they're going to try, and this is what they did against the last team on Tempest. What they did was they basically, after the initial engagement, they said, okay, now we're going to just start walling you in. And so what cubert and Aristeo are going to do is just try and keep their... He's going to try and keep... You see these marines forced to chase these meters all over the place. So frustrating. They're going to be... walling in their opponents into this little corner, the top left corner, and they are going to meanwhile secure the other 3 corners. And so that pretty much spells disaster in the long haul for their opponents, being walled in there. And these siege tanks make it so difficult to break. There aren't that many ways to break a wall like this, and this is something that I always lose to. When a Terran player starts doing this to me, where they just wall in like this, there's only so much you can do. And the thing is, your first thought is, okay, well, you can just do you could do drop play. Just get some drop ships, come in here, and take out his main. And yeah, that's a really valid thing, but you got to get lucky, because that means Aristeo would have to not be paying attention with his mutalisks. And the way Aristeo usually does, or usually, as you see, Nuku is going to be putting a missile turret down over here, wisely doing that, though it will be pretty unprotected, and Aristeo will likely be continuing to make meters, as you see those there, and he will reach critical mass in those in the near future. And then a single missile turret will really mean nothing when he has so many mutalisks on the field. But anyway, trying to do a drop over here is so difficult against a player like Aristeo, because he's keeping his mutalisks close here, and he uses these overlords placed nicely to give himself vision. He's going to start putting these overlords around here so that he'll have vision all the way around his opponent's base. So anytime they try and drop or move out, he will know about it. More mutalisks going to come in and continue to harass the Protoss base. There's a couple of missile turrets down here now, but there are enough mutalisks here to actually go ahead and just... Aristeo is just going to take out a couple of these missile turrets, force these probes off the line, make them stop mining and move over there, actually forcing Nuku to bring his marines over here. and deal with that. So that is something. I'm not going to sit here and just follow these mutas around the entire time, because you guys have all seen this before. This is what they do. Plus, Aristeo is continuing to make more and more mutas so deadly when they reach critical mass, and then meanwhile cubert continuing to fortify this front, and he's just spreading out his defenses. He leaves little clumps of marines all over the place to protect the tanks. Bunker full of marines here, tank next to that, another tank in here, a bunch of zerglings to protect that, hidden inside this wall. This is like unbreakable right now. Like, wasn't that like a Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson movie, Unbreakable? Or am I thinking of, am I thinking of something else? Actually, Nuku successfully dropping here, and it looks like Aristeo was too late with the mutas. What is he going to be able to do about it? These Marines have stimmed up. They're running right into the main. They're going to start plowing these drones. The mutas are going to try and come in here and help, but cubert is actually forced to bring some Marines of his own over here. And the mutas, there's so many mutalists that they actually cleaned up that drop pretty nicely. The problem is that that Nuku just, or that SaNY just didn't have enough, because he's been harassed this entire time by these mutalists. He's been focused on rebuilding his economy. What they needed to do was during that drop ship, or during that drop play, they needed to try and break this using whatever means necessary. See, while these Marines were all gone, this would have been a prime opportunity to come in with some Phoenix and some ground units to lift off these tanks and do some damage. But it's so difficult to do. I'm just going to sit here and say, oh yeah, you could just bring in some Phoenix and like lift off these tanks and no big deal, it's a piece of cake. No, it's a lot easier said than done. Look at the spread on this stuff. So this could turn out to be quite a long game, as cubert and Aristeo are just going to wall in their opponents and force them onto 2 base, even leaving 1 zergling down here just to delay this expansion even longer. Actually going to kill that probe, force all these zealots to run over there, force a new probe to come off. Actually some high Templars are now out for SaNY, so a smart play there. The Psionic Storm is just now finishing, and those are going to be very important to try and blow up, or I shouldn't say blow up, to try and fry these Marines and fry these mutalists with some side storms will be key. But tanks, you know, obviously could do some serious damage to those high Templar before they can get into range to do anything. So it's almost like see, against a team like Aristeo and cubert, it's almost a no-win situation right now, because they have full map control. And you see, as I was saying earlier, how Aristeo is what he's gonna do with his overlords to get maximum possible vision. He's gonna spread his overlords all the way around here. Even cubert, even throwing a sensor tower and a missile turret down. And so Aristeo just leaving all these overlords so that he has complete vision all the way around here. They have complete vision surrounding their opponent's base. So now if he ever tries another dropship, as you see him finally getting a couple of overlords up here, now he will know about any kind of drop play, any kind of airstrike. And so Nuku and SaNY are in a lot of trouble. And this is where a part where, like, a pro caster, if I were a pro caster, I would be like, oh my god, you guys, Nuku and SaNY totally just need to do this to win this game. And you know what? I am not a pro caster, so Nuku is actually getting building armor. I wonder if he's gonna make a planetary fort. He's getting building armor. That's an interesting upgrade at this point in the game. If anyone were to get building armor, I guess it would be cubert, because he has bunkers and turrets all over here. But maybe he's getting building armor for his turrets against the mutalists. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, this is a really difficult situation to be in. What I would try and do, okay, I would try to say that you could do like Phoenix. What I would try and do is use Phoenix and Colossi combined with tanks and Vikings to try and slowly break through this, if possible. I know that's easier said than done, obviously, with all this defense. Part of the problem is that they allowed all this to go up in the first place. Obviously, you don't want to allow that. And now Aristeo has 4 bases, fully saturated. His main is not even mined out yet. I mean, this guy, he's got, see, it looks like the drop from Nuku tried to take out the Spire. The Greater Spire is morphing in, so we will see Broodlords. It looks like he's actually going to be going for mostly the same strategy as last time, though he does have a bunch of roaches this time to beef up that ground army. So that is one thing that's different, but it will be a lot of the same type of strategy actually for Aristeo. He's getting his adrenal glands. Oh, getting chitinous plating already. So we will be seeing Ultralisk, and always a good play to tech up to Ultralisk and start getting your Ultralisk upgrades when you're Zerg and you have this many bases. Because what's going to happen is there's going to be a major engagement at some point, and if you're the Zerg player, you're going to lose a significant portion of your army. And if you're sitting, if you have 4 bases like Aristeo does, and you end up by the time you max your army, he's already at 198, so he's basically maxed now. And by the time the fight happens, Aristeo is going to have a ton of